Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for tuning in and giving up some time to listen to my presentation today, or keynote, no presentation. So we've only got 10 minutes. I'm going to jump straight into it. In terms of what I'm going to discuss today, I work for Transport for London, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why TfL, Transport for London, are interested in property development. Why are we interested in sustainable buildings and the future of buildings? So I'm going to talk a bit about our property development ambitions. I'm then going to discuss what we're doing to achieve those and how we're going to be aligning those to industry-leading sustainability. So I'm going to talk a bit about our sustainability development framework. And then I'll give you a case study of one of the exciting projects which we're working on. And then the last 5 minutes or so, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we see as the new trends or the emerging trends within sustainability, what we've noticed in our team, and how we think that's going to be changing the real estate industry going forward. I'm just going to start my stopwatch so I can stick to time for everybody here. So first of all, Transport for London. Who are we? I'm sure a lot of you have been to London and you've ridden our metro network. You might have taken the tube or the buses and you would have thought, yes, Transport for London, that's the transport authority. And we are, but that's about 150 years old. And recently we've started to look at how we can better use our land. So we're actually one of the 5th biggest landowners in London. We've got a huge amount of land. Some of this is by our railway stations. Some of this is maybe a station car park, perhaps some of the land next to the tracks within London as well. And we're trying to look at how we might be able to use that land to obviously generate revenues and commercial revenue for Transport for London, but also to help to address London's quite severe housing crisis and also the high levels of unemployment which we have without the city as well. So everything that Transport for London are doing with regards to their property development program has got this real sustainability lens focused in looking at this triple bottom line of sustainability, so social, environmental, economic. And what are we doing to ensure that we're delivering across those 3 pillars, and how are our buildings, designed with those in mind? So we've established a sustainable development framework, and this is essentially a metric-driven approach. It's a set of about 120 KPIs. And we're measuring our sustainability performance across those 3 pillars of sustainability. So first of all, vibrant and diverse communities. This is looking at social cohesion. Are we developing social infrastructure? Are we providing opportunity for children's sporting activities? Are we engaging with the community during the design process as well? Our second pillar is healthy places for the people and the planet. So this is obviously that environmental pillar. Are our buildings designed to be sustainable? If not, right. So healthy places for the people and planet. So high performance buildings. Are we looking at energy efficiency? Are we managing our water properly as well? Are we using green energy? And then finally, supporting and developing local economies. So we want to be ensuring that when we're building these homes and when we're building our offices, that we are delivering local economic prosperity. So are we working with small businesses? Are we creating opportunities for startups? Are we making sure that there are meanwhile uses for our development sites whilst they're not actually being used? So we've always got this in mind. Then one of the case studies which we've got, which I'm really excited to share with you, this is one of our flagship projects, and we call it Southwark Overstation Development. So for those of you not from London or not familiar with where Southwark is, it's by the River Thames, just in between Waterloo and London Bridge. We're actually using this land above our station to develop a 17-story office block, which is going to also not only provide some plenty of jobs for London, but we've also freed up some land to build 25 new council homes as well on the neighbouring site. So we're going to have affordable workspace, affordable housing, and also new retail opportunities as well, which is going to help to regenerate the local area. So looking at the topic in future buildings and sustainability, like what is it about this Southwark development that is making it so special? So we will be we're committed to delivering BREEAM Outstanding. We're also committed to achieving a WELL Platinum rating. So how are we doing this? Well, we've got hybrid and cross-laminated timber structure in place. We've also got something really exciting where we're going to be one of the first buildings in the world to be harnessing the energy from the tube network. So if you're picturing this, if you type in Southwark OSD into Google or Transport for London, you'll be able to see this. But essentially, that waste energy that's coming up from the tube and from the underground network, we're going to be harnessing that to try and reduce the energy consumption of the building. And that is what a future building is going to look like. So then if we take a little bit of a step backwards now and away from TFL and try and look a little bit more generally, like what are we seeing in terms of sustainable buildings, and how do the future of buildings look like with that sustainability focus? So first of all, I think we've got a really ecologically we've got a changing market who are a lot more ecologically focused than previously perhaps, and we've seen evidence of this. So 72% of office workers would actually now say that working in a sustainable building is really important for them. So no longer is sustainability and sustainable buildings, no longer is it a nice to have. It actually is becoming a competitive necessity for building owners and construction companies to actually design these buildings with sustainability in mind. So we've got this competitive advantage, but also there's now a financial benefit for doing this now as well. So there's a recent study by M&G Real Estate, which I think really draws on this point and gives some evidence for this. So they've actually said that if you're designing with a sustainability focus and you've got a resilient building, you're more likely to receive a higher rental income of about 53 basis points. So this is pretty impressive. And actually, if you're investing in these green buildings now, you're likely to get about 19 basis points higher in the cash flow than conventional buildings. So sustainability can actually be profitable. We're starting to see this green premium, which is really exciting. And I think it's a great shift for the industry as well. So looking a little bit about what those technologies look like, or what are those features of the building. So these buildings need to be optimizing their space for sure. We need to be thinking about consumption, looking at our resource consumption. Are these buildings sustainably designed? Do they actually reducing their environmental impact? You know, what is the resource consumption like? How are we using our spaces effectively? So are we adopting innovation and automation to try and make sure that any heating and lighting costs and consumption is kept to a minimum? So we'll be looking at IoT technologies, but also digital twin as well. So I think if you're starting out as a new company and you're designing your space, it's easy. The incentive is very much there, and you know what you need to be doing. Your building has to be focused on delivering efficiencies. Is it lessening that ecological footprint? But if you've got an existing building, and TFL, we've got a very old, aging estate. We're currently looking at how we can be retrofitting our existing estate, what we can be doing to make it more sustainable. The Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, he wants London to be a net zero carbon city by 2030. That's very, very soon. And for a company with an aging estate like us, that's going to be a big challenge. But we're focusing on how we can be better with our energy management. So what strategic energy management processes can we adopt that will help us to give a competitive advantage in our offices and our buildings to use much less energy? So what are the four key themes which we think are dominating and that are going to be increasingly important for companies to be considering? So first of all, we've got carbon reduction. The second one would be waste management. The third would be energy and water efficiencies. And then finally, if we sort of take a step back, look at that construction phase. So are we using sustainable materials? What practices are we adopting on site? So firstly, carbon reduction. What does it actually look like in practice? Well, the technology is already there. This isn't necessarily cutting edge stuff. So heat pump solutions, this is really important. These offices are actually designed with heat pump systems in mind. The CO2 and carbon savings are huge. We're talking 60-70% compared to like conventional buildings. Even greater if you actually start to factor in that a lot of buildings are going to need to be, they have a cooling need now as the environment and the climate gets hotter. So demand for cooling is going up, which actually provides even greater carbon savings if we're adopting heat pumps. Green energy. Solar's been around for a long time. It's not new. But what we are starting to see is a demand for in-house renewables actually on the buildings or within the buildings. So solar panels on the buildings and on the walls, on the roof, that's not new. But actually now you're starting to see biomass being of increasing importance, or even wind turbines. Looking at how buildings can become self-sufficient themselves. Then looking at waste management. is the building going to be participating in the circular economy? So this is more something for like building managers, but a building needs to be equipped to participate in the circular economy marketplace. And we're seeing some really good companies coming forward. GlobeChain is an excellent example of how it's connecting communities together, collecting businesses and different building owners and helping them work together to reduce their overall waste consumption. Within the building, we're also seeing innovation. There's a company called Binny. They've got some great technologies like kind of automating that waste process as well. And also, this is what's going to excite people and get and this is people are becoming ecologically conscious. They're going to want this sort of technology in their office spaces and within their buildings. Obviously, you can't have sustainability without creating efficiencies of your water and your energy consumption. So we're using IoT and real-time monitoring to provide actionable data-driven insights for building managers to actually improve and action those as well. Rainwater harvesting. It seems obvious, but not enough buildings are actually looking at how they can harness rainwater to reduce their overall water consumption as well. And then finally, if we look at the construction process, are we using sustainable building materials? You know, it's these are relatively new, but 3D printing and mycelium, these could actually be the construction materials that we're using in the future, the construction methods that we are using. For those not familiar, mycelium, it's a biomaterial that is actually a lot stronger than concrete, and even has negative carbon sequestering capabilities, which is hugely important for an industry which is responsible for such a large amount of global emissions. And then finally, glass. I think energy efficient glass gets a pretty tough time as a building material, and rightly so, because there's a huge amount of wastage. But so we need to be looking at how we can create more energy efficient glass, looking at lamination and coating. What can be done to improve that thermal capture and improve overall thermal performance as well. So those are just a few of the key themes which I think are important within sustainability and within the built environment industry. Transport for London, we are open to innovating and collaborating with potential innovators who think they can solve some of our key KPIs and our strategic challenges. So we'll be launching our sustainable development framework to the public later on this summer. And we invite all collaborators or fellow building owners to come to us and share their solutions and how they've overcome the key challenges within sustainability and a built environment. We firmly believe that by working with the market, we can help to deliver our really ambitious sustainable development framework. So thanks everybody for listening. I hope you enjoy the rest of the sessions. And if you do have any questions, then please do get in touch with me over email or on LinkedIn.
Yeah, hi Sam, that was amazing. I have one question for you, because I really didn't know also that Transportation for London had so much ownership of land. But you have a massive impact, as I can see right now. But which call to action would you like to give to other building owners or asset owners to really step up their game?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think one thing which the industry are not very good at is being open with each other and communicating. So one of our key KPIs is about meanwhile use and how that can help us to deliver economic prosperity within the spaces that we're operating in.
Yep.
But we don't necessarily know how if other councils have got the space, or we aren't very good at communicating if we've actually got the space. So it's about being transparent and open with each other so that we can use our networks to help fill those spaces and ensure that they're being used to the best of their abilities.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for being with us, Sam. And hopefully we can travel soon to London, because I know there is also an amazing event coming up after summer about smart buildings in London in the ExCeL. So it would be great to be there. Hope to see you then. Bye for now. Brilliant. And have a great day.
We'd love to have you. Thank you. See you later.
Yo, see you later.